Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Serena. In today's video, we are kicking it old school YouTube. I'm gonna be talking about makeup. I'm gonna be telling you guys about my eyeshadow palette. Yeah, it's dirty. I'm proud. So this is the only eyeshadows that I use, and probably the only eyeshadows that I've used for the past like year or two, to be honest with you. I stopped buying palettes a million years ago. I think that if there is even one shade in that eyeshadow palette that I don't use, then it's a waste of my freaking money. I'm really like persnickety with my eyeshadows, and especially with the palettes. There is like a new eyeshadow palette released 2 times a day from like any brand that you could possibly think of. Like, it's ridiculous. They're beautiful and you want to collect all of them, but it's like you're just spending, you know, gobs of money on palettes of eyeshadows that you're like, in a lifetime, you're just not gonna go through them unless you're a makeup artist. In that case, you know, do you, or you're obviously like, if you're a beauty YouTuber, you're probably gonna go through some of these things, but I just think that it's wasteful and it's just a waste of your damn money. So this is my little janky palette that I have curated over the years and absolutely love and am very happy with. So if anybody asks me like, hey, what are you wearing on your eyes? It's one of these 12 shadows here. So we're gonna get into what each of these are, and I will link all of these down below for you guys. Without further ado, let's jump into the video. If you're not subscribed to my channel, hello and welcome. My name is Serena. I have a lifestyle channel here on YouTube, which means I upload videos on, you guessed it, lifestyle content. So click that little subscribe button down below if you want to see more from me, and hit the thumbs up button if you like this video. Let's get into it. So this is by Makeup Geek. As you can see, this is very well loved. I have hit pan on this. This is Peach Smoothie by Makeup Geek. This is one of their most popular shades. This is something that I use as a transitional shade. So this is $6 for a pan, which to me, again, I feel like it's more economical to spend $6 per shadow or something if you're gonna use it. Obviously I hit pan on this. So this is $6 for 1.8 grams. The Peach Smoothie shade is a matte finish, and as far as Makeup Geek goes, this is one of their signature shadow formulas. I'll put the little swatch for you guys up here in the corner so you guys can take a look. The way I use this is with a fluffy brush, and I will go in. I usually don't prime anymore because my lids are kind of normal. No, they're not as oily as they used to be. These are foundation shades from MAC. These are just like, you know, NC15, NC20. These are just powder foundations. I will go over my entire lid before I really start to put any eyeshadow on, because I just don't even, like, why bother buying a small eyeshadow that's like a whitish color when I can just use my pale pasty AF, you know, foundation powder. So then what I will do is I will go in with Peach Smoothie. Without a doubt, every single time I apply my eyeshadow, no matter if it's a heavy look or a light look, I like to use Peach Smoothie as a transitional shade. So I think this is a perfect shade for somebody who is fair complected like myself. If you have a deeper complexion, this is probably gonna be good for you to like do like a highlight, a matte highlight on the full surface of the lid. But for me, I use it in the crease. The description on the Makeup Geek website of what the color is, it's a light peach beige color. So next we are gonna go into, this one's a random one, this is a wild card. I'm not gonna be like super unfair, but like this is genuinely like what I've been using lately. So this is a Stila blush, and this is discontinued. That's why I said like it's the wild card. So this is a Stila blush, and the shade is called Delicate. This is just a peach shade. This is another thing that I will go in with, in addition to Peach Smoothie, with a fluffy, like smallish fluffy brush, and brush this throughout the crease. I do this with Peach Smoothie and with Delicate because it's a transitional color. I'm wearing it today along with Peach Smoothie as the transitional crease color. I take it all the way from the corner all the way in, and that gives me a nice base of warmth and a little wash of color. Since Delicate is out of stock or discontinued through Stila, I will recommend, if you're looking through Makeup Geek, and I'm just recommending Makeup Geek because that's just what I use, they have one called Summer Lovin'. So Summer Lovin' by Makeup Geek to me looks like it's a dupe for this. And if you don't want to do Makeup Geek, you can do MAC. I looked at MAC and it looks like Tete a Tint is another kind of dupe for this color. So, all right, so next up we have MAC Gleam. So this is a color by MAC. It's called Gleam. And this is just a really understated shimmer shade. So I like to use this with my finger. This is more of a hard pressed formula, kind of like chunky, but I personally don't feel like it's in a negative way. I like to take this with my finger and I will rub it all over the like lower lid, and I use this when I'm doing similar to a look like I'm doing today, where I like the shimmer and the wash and then just like the bolder liner with the lashes and then a little bit of brown in the crease. Not super duper heavy. This is described on the MAC website as a barely pinked gold. So this is a really nice peachy shimmer that looks really flattering without being too wablam, you know what I mean? These individual pans are 1.5 grams and you can buy them at MAC for $7. So these are the refill pans. Okay, so this next shade is what I'm actually wearing on the lid today. This is very similar to Gleam by MAC, but this one is more intensely pigmented and it's softer and it's just oilier. If I was to say get one or the other, I would say if you're into more of an intense look like I have today, get this one. This is by Makeup Geek and it's called In the Spotlight. I will show you a close-up right here. So this is what it looks like in the pan after me fingering it quite a bit. I prefer to apply this with my fingers. These are a very oily formula. This is their foiled formula, so these are a little bit more expensive. So on the Makeup Geek website, these are $10 and this is 1.8 grams. And it cracks me up that people don't like these. Maybe because you can't really use it to its full effect with a brush, but for me, like I just take my ring finger, I rub it in here and I just get it all over the lid. And I think it's so pretty. It's such a nice color. Again, it's very similar to Gleam, like almost identical, except Gleam's a little bit less pigmented. It's a little bit more subdued. So this one is described on the Makeup Geek website as soft pink with coral undertones and a foiled finish. I love this. I think this is beautiful. I would highly recommend this color if you want that corally pop of color and shimmer. I just think it's gorgeous and it's not glitter. I don't know. I can't work with just straight glitter. I feel like I'm in 6th grade again when I have like straight up glitter. When you use the shimmer shade, I just feel like it's good. It's all good. Okay, so next one is another foiled shadow by Makeup Geek. This one is called Grandstand, and that's this one right here. So Grandstand by Makeup Geek. This one is nice. This one is another foiled shadow, so it's another $10 shadow from them, 1.8 grams. This one is described on the Makeup Geek website as a medium coppery brown with the foiled finish. This is also super duper soft. Generally, I will apply this with like a pencil brush and some Fix Plus. One of the other things I really like about these Makeup Geek foiled shadows is when you go in with Fix Plus, you know, MAC Fix Plus, you know exactly what I'm talking about if you're into makeup like I am. If you go in with MAC Fix Plus on a brush, these are not going to be destroyed. It's not going to like make them hard to kind of get to later. With a lot of shadows and powders, if you spray Fix Plus on the shadow, or if you get the shadow wet, it kind of like has a hardened surface and then you got to scratch it off. These ones don't do that. These ones just continue to work really beautifully, I think because the formula is so oily. What I like to do is I like to get a pencil brush, spray it with some Fix Plus, dip it in here, and go on the lash line. I'm not wearing this today, but it's beautiful when you're wanting to do kind of a bronzy, sultry thing. So I will go in with a pencil brush saturated with Fix Plus so that this really sticks to the skin, and I'll go under here on the corners of the lash line and then like in the corners here when I want to just get a little bit of outer corner action there, and it's just really pretty. I really like the sultry bronzy look. This is by Makeup Geek and this is called Shimma Shimma. So Shimma Shimma is a really pretty light pinky beige but with a shimmer. So this one I'm very careful with. I have not hit pan on this because I'm just super careful. So the way I apply this is again with my ring finger. I'm wearing it today but only on the very center of the bottom lid. So over my entire lid today I have In the Spotlight from Makeup Geek all over, and then what I did was I went ahead and I just patted Shimma Shimma right in the center and just kind of smudged it out and blended it out with my finger, because if I was to put this all over my whole lid, it would be too bright in my personal opinion. Another thing that I like to do with this, I like to take a really teeny tiny pencil brush and I can dot it in the corners here to kind of highlight a little bit if I'm going for that. But this is a really beautiful one, and it's not too cool tone. It's like a really nice pinky beigey but light. It's a good highlight color. This one is the standard 1.8 grams and $6, so really good value for this one. This is just beautiful. I love this. So that was Shimma Shimma. Next color is MAC Texture. This shade is a freaking beast. This thing is amazing. This eyeshadow has lasted me forever, and I have not even come close to hitting pan on this thing. So this is a very hard formula. This is a formula that I think a lot of really picky people would complain about and say, oh, well, it's not that pigmented. That, my friends, is why I love this eyeshadow, and I think it's goof proof. Sometimes it's really good to have like a buttery shadow and have lots of color payoff. If you want that, sure, you're gonna go with all Makeup Geek shadows, because the majority of Makeup Geek shadows have this like buttery texture to the point where it's almost powdery, and you're gonna get fallout. You're gonna get great pigment, but I personally really prefer a hard shadow when it comes to a brown shade, because you can't overdo it with this. So this is described on the MAC website as a peachy brown with shimmer. I personally, like, this is practically matte in my eyes, honestly. Like, the shimmer is like negligible. You like can't even see it. This is $7 for 1.5 grams. I always, 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 without a doubt, use this in every makeup look I ever do. Along with Peach Smoothie, this is one of my other transitional shades. So I'll take this like in the outer corners. I don't take a lot of my brown or darker shadows further too far in, because my eyes are really close together. So when your eyes are really close together, you want to pretend they're farther apart. And so you, by putting the darker shadows in the outer corners, that kind of draws the eyes outwards. Whereas if you have really large, like wide set eyes, you would do the opposite. You'd have shadow all over the entire lid that's darker, you know? This to me is like one of the quintessential perfect, like must-have shades, MAC Texture. I absolutely love this. 100,000,000% recommend for any person, any skin tone, because of the versatility of it. Okay, so this next one is another Makeup Geek shadow. This one is called Homecoming. And this one is one of my only cool tone shadows that I will use. So this one is described on the Makeup Geek website as medium brown with gold shimmer. It's definitely cool toned. I like to use this when my look is looking too warm. I also like to use this really define and sketch out and cut my crease out. So I'll use a really thin brush and I'll just kind of touch it in the corners there to kind of round out the eye and really define my shadow look. It looks really shimmery in the pan, but it comes off, I think, because of it's like a really neutral cool tone brown. When you put it on the skin, it only gives off a very nice light shimmer vibe. So I really like this. This is $6 for 1.8 grams. Okay, this next one is another MAC shadow. This one's called Swiss Chocolate. This is another one of their very popular shades. MAC Swiss Chocolate is another one that's like a harder finish, but this one is very pigmented. This one is described on the MAC website as a muted reddish brown. This does say reddish brown on the website, but I feel like this one is like right in the middle of being neutral. So it's like almost warm, almost cool. So it's a good kind of in-between color. I like to use this under the eye here, under the lash line, but just in the little corners, and I use it in the outer corners of my eyelids. Sometimes I will use this to set and smudge out my eyeliner. I like to use like pencil eyeliner. I like to smudge it out with an angled brush and kind of smooth it out, and then I'll top this, or another one that I'll show you in a second, over the eyeshadow just to kind of set it and make sure that it doesn't move around throughout the day. So MAC Swiss Chocolate is just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. 100% recommend this one. Okay, this next one is another discontinued one, but I have recommendations. I'm pretty sure, honestly, that they just changed the name of this one. So this is Makeup Geek Tiki Hut. So this is a very neutral sable brown. It's a really interesting color. In the pan, it just kind of looks, I don't know, like a fawn brown. So this one is really pretty. Makeup Geek, their like matte shadows are crazy pigmented, almost to the point where you're like, oh my gosh, like this is too much. That's why what I do when I apply them, I will just barely tap it with the brush, and I will like tap my brush so that the excess will flick off. And then when I'm applying it, I will tap it in before I start foofing it in and blending it, if that makes sense. So I just kind of tap the product on. I would say replacement or dupe, or literally just, this is the same shadow, they just changed the name for this one. I would say it's Tan Lines, because looking online, it looks literally identical to Tan Lines. So I recommend checking Tan Lines out because I think that this is comparable to it. This is just a really gorgeous, really pigmented color, and it just brings a little something extra with a little bit more depth to a look. Okay, this next one is another Makeup Geek shadow. This one is Coco Bear. So Coco Bear is a extremely warm, extremely reddish brown, and it's very, very pigmented. I like to use this one under the lash line and just in the very corner. I liked, and I know I say that about a lot of my deeper shades, but it's true. I really just like to layer, like just tap the tiniest amount, layer it on and blend it out to get like a really pretty blown out look without looking really heavy. So this is $5.99 for 1.8 grams on the Makeup Geek website. This one is the other one that I like to use to smudge out and set my pencil eyeliner. Because this is so warm, it really brings some life back to when I've used a brown eyeliner. I don't use black. You guys notice that I don't have any black shadows. I don't use black eyeliner. The only black I use is mascara. I personally just feel like I don't look good with black shadow or liner. I am so fair and I am so ginger. I just feel like it looks super duper harsh on me personally. Even some of the brown eyeliners that I have are too cool tones. So I really like this. This one sweeps in and saves the day. I'm wearing it today on top of, I think I have like a Wet n Wild color icon pencil as my liner, and then I just kind of smoothed it out with the brush and then tapped Coco Bear on it, and it just looks so good. It just warms it up. I just really like it. Okay, and then my final eyeshadow, this is my black. This is Americana by Makeup Geek. This is like very, very deep, dark chocolate, or coffee actually, Americano, coffee brown. So this is deep dark brown with subtle purple undertones and a matte finish. $5.99 for 1.8 grams. This is what I use on my intense days, and those are few and far between nowadays, but whenever I really, really want to deepen a look, if I'm doing really smoky or really heavy on the eyes, this is what I will go in with in the very tiny tips and corners. Just dot that in there and blow it out a little bit, because this is just like wabam on my skin. So it's a good color. All right, you guys, that was it for today's video. I know it was kind of random and it was kind of long, but I hope you enjoyed it. Kind of wanted to take us back there and just kind of show you guys. You guys ask me a lot, what's on my eyes? And this, from now on, this is it. I will refer you to this video so you guys can see what shadows I use. I will link everything that I can down below. A lot of the time, Makeup Geek, their really popular shadows can sell out, but there's a little button that you can click that says notify me when it's back in stock. That way you guys can pick it up, and these shadows I really strongly recommend to you. So I do think that it's worth it to order from Makeup Geek. I think in recent years in the beauty community has kind of petered off. People have stopped talking about them as much as they used to, but they have such good eyeshadows and I love them, and I'm not a part of the beauty community, and so I'm not wrapped up in the drama. So I still will totally recommend them and tell you that they're so good for the price. The other thing is a lot of Makeup Geek is cruelty free, and a lot of it's made in the USA, so it's like they have good stuff. And you guys know I'm obsessed with MAC, so I mean, that's not news. The one thing I was gonna tell you guys, there is an eyeshadow quad on Makeup Geek's website. It's available on their website, and it's called The Promise. It's 4 eyeshadows, and the only reason I'm recommending it is because they have Grandstand, which is what I have in here. They also have Peach Smoothie, which is what I have in here, and Tan Lines, which I would say is the dupe for Tiki Hut. And then the other one is called Dark Roast. It's like a deep espresso brown. I'll put it up here for you guys so you guys can see. That is, I believe, like $11.99. So if you guys can get your hands on that eyeshadow quad, that's a palette like worth grabbing, because I feel like those are colors that someone would use on the reg. So there is that. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe before heading out. I will see you guys in the next video. I love you so much. Mwah. Bye.